Very good morning, my dear students of class 11th. Chapter number 3 Quality is being taught nowadays. Students, Gessler brothers faces Gessler means Gessler brothers. Gessler faces the hardships of the competitive world that believes in making maximum profit by employing tactics of wild and wide publicity. Inferior quality, material, etc. As managing two shops proves too expensive, the Gesslers have to do away with one part of the shop. The elder of the Gesslers cannot get over the pain. Yesterday, what you studied, listen again. The elder of the Gessler brothers cannot get over the pain of losing a part of the shop, and this eventually contributes to his sad demise. Yesterday you read the line, he said, I am very well, he said slowly, but my elder brother is dead. The elder of Gessler cannot get over the pain of losing part of the shop, and this eventually contributes to his sad demise. The artist in him feels the pangs of having been driven out of its sanctum sanctorum and deprived of the sap of life, chokes to death. Despite all the qualities of head and heart, Gessler is quite stubborn, obstinate, and is of old-fashioned ideals. Their ideals were old-fashioned. He never allows any other leather into his shop that is not made by himself. He believes that boots have to always be handmade, and he never advertises. He shows disapproval of big firms, big companies that indulge in a lot of publicity, having little concern for the pocket of the customers. These aspects make him lose out in the high competition amongst boot-making firms, which in turn make him poor and eventually die of starvation. His death marked the death of true art as well. The artist and his art choke in a highly materialistic and commercialized world where success is determined not by excellence but by advertisement. Now start from here, page number 30. And I saw it was indeed himself. He himself indeed has become very lean, very thin due to starvation, looking very ill. But how aged and worn. But how aged and worn. How aged and sickly he was looking. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Because both were alike. And it was very difficult for the narrator to recognize them. It was very difficult for the narrator. And never before had I heard him mention his brother. Much shocked, I murmured, "Oh, I am sorry." "Yes," he answered, "he was a good man, he made a good boot, but he is dead." And he touched the top of his head, where the hair had suddenly gone, as thin as it had been on that of his poor brother, to indicate, I suppose, the cause of death. He could not get over losing the other shop. He could not get over losing the other shop. "Do you want any boots?" he said. Gessler, one of Gessler's brother, who is alive, he is saying to the narrator that he could not get over losing the other shop. He shocked and died. "Do you want any boots?" And he held up the leather in his hand. "It is a beautiful piece," he showed. "I ordered several pairs, though it was not needed. I ordered the narrator ordered several pairs. It was very long before they came, but they were better than ever. One simply could not wear them out, and soon after that I went abroad." It was over a year before I was again in London. Over a year. He came again. And the first shop I went to was my old friend's. I had left a man of 60. I came back to one of 75. I came back to one of 75, pinched and worn and tremulous, timid, hesitant, who genuinely this time did not at first know me. "Oh, Mr. Gessler," I said, sick at heart. "How splendid your boots are! See, I have been wearing this pair nearly all the time I have been abroad, and they're not half worn out, are they? They are so durable that it hasn't been torn till today, you see." He looked long at my boots, a pair of Russia leather, and his face seemed to regain steadiness, firmness. Putting his hand on my instep, he said, "Do they with you here?" I had trouble with that pair, I remember. I assured him that they had fitted beautifully. The Gessler was doubt whether the shoes fitted well to the narrator or not. But he said, "I assured you that they had fitted beautifully." "Do you want any boots?" he said. "I can make them quickly." Students, as he became very poor and suffering from starvation, so he wanted the narrator to purchase and order so many boots. "I can make them quickly. It's a slack time. It is a very slow time. There's no work at all for me. So I can make them quickly. I will not take long time." I answered, "Please, please, I want boots all round, every kind." The narrator became, He had the natter had the sympathy aroused in his heart, and he gave so many pairs of order, so many order. I will, I answered, please, I will make a fresh model. I will make a fresh model, new model. Your foot must be bigger. And with utter slowness, he traced around my foot and felt my toes only once, looking up to say, "Did I tell you my brother was dead?" To watch him was painful, so feeble, so weak, and had he grown, I was glad to get away. I had given those boots up when one evening shoes came. Opening the parcel, I set the 4 pairs out in a row. Then one by one I tried them on. There was no doubt about it. In shape and fit, in finish and quality of leather, they were the best he had ever made me. And in the mouth of one of the town walking boots, I found his bill. Invoice, bill. The amount was the same as usual, but it gave me quite a shock. He had never before sent it in till quarter day. I flew downstairs and wrote a check and posted it at once with my own hand. He needed the money. The natter understood that Gessler needed money. A week later, passing the little street, I thought I would go in and tell him how splendidly the new boots fitted. But when I came to where his shop had been, his name was gone. Still there in the window were the slim pumps, a type of shoes, the patent leathers with cloth tops, the sooty riding boots. Still there in the window. Still there in the window where were the slim pumps, the patent leathers with cloth top, the sooty riding boots. I went in very much disturbed because the natter could not see him. In the 2 little shops, again made into one, was a young man with an English face. He did not find Gessler's there. "Mr. Gessler in?" I said. He gave me a strange ingratiating look, trying too hard to please. Ingratiating look. "No, sir," he said. "No, but we can attend to anything with pleasure. We have taken the shop over. Now we are the owner, not Gessler. You have seen our name, no doubt, next door. We make for some very good people." "Oh, yes, I said, but Mr. Gessler?" "Oh," he answered, "dead." "Dead? But I only received those boots from him last Wednesday week." "Ah," he said, "a shocking go. Poor old man starved himself." Starvation, due to starvation he also died. Good God, good heavens. Slow starvation, the doctor called it. You see, he went to work in such a way, would keep the shop on, wouldn't have a soul touch his boot except himself, When he got an order, it took him such a time. People won't wait. He lost everybody. He did not advertise. He did not use leather from other companies. And there he had a sit going on and on. I will say that for him, not a man in London made a better boot. But look at the competition. He never advertised. Would have the best leather too and do it all himself. He wanted only the leather from his shop. He never advertised. And well, there it is. What could you expect with his ideas? But starvation, that may be a bit flowery as they say, is, but I know myself he was sitting over his boots day and night to the very last. You see, I used to watch him, never gave himself time to eat, never had a penny in the house, not a single pice. All went in rent and leather. How he lived so long, I don't know. He regularly let his fire go out. He was a character, but he made good boots. Yes, I said, he made good boots. And the narrator turned and went out quickly, as he was very sorrowful. For I did not want that youth to know that I could hardly see. That was very hard to see. The narrator did not want to know that youth that he could hardly see. The narrator, indeed, the narrator is a young man full of compassion and appreciative of the disappearing art of handicraft. He is sad to learn that Gessler died soon after complying with his order. He learns only after he has dispatched the bill. He laments that the shop has been occupied by a new person catering to the royal family and big persons. This is the end of the story. Students, please, if you ask any problem, I am always ready to help you out. Please ask if there is any problem. Thank you so much.